The mist clung to the ancient pines like a shroud, the first light of dawn piercing through in hesitant rays. In the year 950, during the Heian period of Japan, the world was a tapestry of silk robes and whispered court intrigues, where nobles danced in the shadows of emperors, and scholars buried themselves in scrolls imported from distant China. But beneath the elegance lay a raw truth. Knowledge alone was a hollow vessel, adrift without the wind of action to propel it. Tadayoshi awoke that morning, as he had so many others, in the opulent chambers of his family's estate. At 24, he was the envy of lesser minds. His shelves groaned under the weight of Confucian treatises, Buddhist sutras, and the sharp-edged wisdom of Sun Tzu's Art of War. While his peers chased fleeting pleasures in moonlit gardens, reciting poetry to courtesans, or losing themselves in sake-fueled revelry, Tadayoshi devoured texts on military formations, siege tactics, and the philosophy of command. His dream burned bright, to rise as a legendary general, reshaping Japan's fractured clans into a unified force. Yet, each dawn brought the same paralyzing ritual. He'd rise with fire in his veins, vowing, "Today, I begin." The sword his father had gifted him lay untouched on its stand, its blade gleaming like an unspoken accusation. But then, doubt would creep in like fog from the mountains. A new scroll would catch his eye, a deeper analysis of flanking maneuvers, or a forgotten Chinese general's memoir. "How can I wield steel without mastering the theory?" he'd murmur, sinking back into his cushions. Hours blurred into evenings, the sun dipping low as he memorized passages, his hands soft and unscarred. Tomorrow, always tomorrow. Whispers slithered through the household like serpents. Servants bowed lower, their eyes averted. But behind rice paper screens, they murmured of the book-bound warrior. Nobles at court stifled laughs, dubbing him Tadayoshi the scribe, a man who could slay with rhetoric but cowered from the clash of blades. The mockery stung, for it mirrored the void in his soul. He possessed the intellect to drill armies, to outmaneuver foes on imagined battlefields, but his body remained a stranger to the ache of exertion, the sweat of repetition, the raw forge where theory met flesh. One evening, as twilight painted the tatami mats in bruised purples, his father summoned him. Lord Hiroshi was a towering figure, his face etched with the scars of advisory campaigns, his voice a gravelly command that had once bent emperors' ears. He regarded his son with eyes like polished obsidian, unyielding. "You pore over scrolls like a monk chasing enlightenment," he said, his words landing like hammer blows. "But what have you built? A fortress of paper? You have the mind of a general, Tadayoshi, but the heart of a timid clerk. Knowledge without deeds is a ghost haunting the living, formless, futile. You are alive, yet you do not live." The words echoed through the night, a thunderclap in Tadayoshi's chest. He tossed on his futon, the silk sheets twisting like chains. His father's truth was a mirror he could no longer shatter with excuses. All those years of study had armored his mind, but left his spirit frail, a bird caged by its own wings. As the first cock crowed, something fractured within him, not despair, but a spark of defiance. He rose, dressed in simple robes, and slipped from the estate into the chill embrace of the forest. The air was crisp, laced with the scent of damp earth and pine resin. Leaves crunched underfoot as he wandered aimlessly, his mind a storm of self-reproach. What was he seeking? Escape? Clarity? Or just another delay? Then, cutting through the silence, came a rhythmic whoosh, metal slicing air, followed by the dull thud of wood on wood. Drawn like a moth to flame, Tadayoshi pushed through the underbrush to a small clearing, bathed in dappled light. There, a man of about 50 moved with the grace of a predator. His hair was streaked with gray, pulled into a rough bun, his bare torso a map of faded scars, testaments to battles long past. He wielded a bakken, a wooden sword repeating the same strike, a downward cut, precise and unyielding, his breath steady as a mountain stream. No flourish, no variation, just endless mechanical perfection. Sweat glistened on his skin, but his face was a mask of calm indifference, as if the effort were as natural as breathing. Tadayoshi watched, transfixed, his heart pounding. This was no courtly display. It was raw discipline incarnate. When the man finally lowered his weapon, wiping his brow with a calloused hand, Tadayoshi stepped forward, his voice trembling with awe. "Master," he said, bowing deeply, though he knew not if the title fit. "Your form? It's flawless. The discipline in your movements. I've never witnessed such resolve. Please teach me." The man turned, his eyes narrowing as they appraised Tadayoshi's fine silk, his uncalloused palms, the scholarly hunch in his posture. A flicker of disdain crossed his weathered face. "No," he replied flatly, shouldering his bakken and turning away. Desperation surged in Tatayoshi's throat. "Wait! I've studied the classics, Sun Tzu's strategies, the formations of ancient generals. I grasp the theories. I can learn swiftly. I beg you." The man paused, his back still turned. "Theories?" He chuckled a dry, bitter sound. "Then apply them alone." He resumed walking, his steps measured and unhurried. Shame ignited into fury, a heat Tadayoshi hadn't felt in years. "Please," he called, his voice cracking. "I must change. I can't remain this shadow of a man." The man halted again, silence stretching like a drawn bowstring. Without facing him, he spoke. "You'll quit. They all do." "I won't," Tadayoshi shot back, his fists clenched. A long pause. "Everyone quits. But fine. Prove me wrong." He turned, his gaze piercing. Despair gleamed in Tadayoshi's eyes, but the man knew feelings were fleeting as cherry blossoms. Still, perhaps this noble fool needed to learn the hard way. "Tomorrow, here, before the sun crests the hills. Arrive, and I'll consider it. Fail, and vanish from my sight." Tadayoshi nodded, his pulse racing. "I'll be here. I swear it." The man snorted. "Swears are wind. Show me deeds." That night, sleep evaded Tadayoshi like a wary fox. Visions of the man's unyielding stare haunted him, the words, "You'll quit," echoing endlessly. He couldn't falter. Not now. As the stars faded, he rose, wrapping himself against the pre-dawn chill, and trekked back to the clearing. He arrived early, shivering in the dark, the forest alive with nocturnal whispers. The man materialized silently, as if born from the shadows. His expression betrayed neither warmth nor scorn, merely observation. "You came," he noted, his tone neutral. "I promised," Tadayoshi replied, straightening. "Promises," the man muttered, shaking his head. "Today, we test if you're more than empty air." He introduced himself curtly as Kaio, a former samurai turned recluse. No more words. He handed Tadayoshi a bakken and commanded a basic stance. Knees bent deeply, back ramrod straight, arms extended forward as if parrying an invisible foe. "How long?" Tadayoshi asked, his muscles already protesting. "Until I say cease." The agony built swiftly. 2 minutes in, his thighs quivered like taut strings. 5 minutes, sweat beaded on his brow despite the cold. 10 minutes, His body screamed for release, every fiber ablaze. "Master, I can't." "Silence!" Kaio barked from his perch on a mossy rock, his face impassive. "Your mind deceives you. Ignore it." 15 minutes. Tears pricked Tadayoshi's eyes, not from sorrow, but sheer torment. His legs buckled. He collapsed, gasping. Kaio rose, disappointment etching his features. 15 minutes. Battles rage for hours. Enemies don't pause for your comfort. He turned away. "Go home. You're not built for this." Something primordial stirred in Tadayoshi, a refusal born not of anger, but awakening. "No," he rasped, forcing himself upright on trembling limbs. "Again!" Kaio paused, intrigue flickering in his eyes. "You think this fire will last? It's just emotion, fleeting as mist. Tomorrow you'll crave your books." "I'll return," Tadayoshi insisted. "Why?" Kaio challenged, his voice a probe. Tadayoshi faltered. Why indeed? Shame? Ambition? Those were feelings, ephemeral. Kaio nodded knowingly. "You lack the answer because you lack the core, but I'll give it. Duty. Not to me, to yourself, the man you vowed to become. Motivation is a whim. Duty is iron, unyielding in the gale." He stepped closer, his presence commanding. "We Japanese call it Yamato Damashii, the spirit of our people. It's not feeling the urge. It's acting because it's etched in your soul." The words lodged in Tatayoshi's heart like an arrow. As Kaio vanished into the trees, Tadayoshi staggered home, body broken, but spirit kindled. The next dawn, pain radiated from every muscle, his legs leaden protests. Yet he rose, driven by Kaio's echo. Duty remains in the storm. The clearing awaited, Kaio already there, his stance vigilant. "You're back," Kaio observed, a hint of acknowledgement in his tone. "As I said, yesterday with fury, today with exhaustion. Which reveals the truth?" "Today," Tadayoshi admitted, wincing as he assumed the stance. Kaio nodded. "Yesterday was motivation's blaze, now extinguished. Today is duty's steady flame." He commanded the pose again, but this time wove in questions. "What filled your books? Strategies? Tactics?" Through gritted teeth, Tadayoshi replied, "Formations, wisdom of war." "And did they forge a warrior?" "No." "Why?" The pain sharpened his focus. "I didn't act." "Close," Kaio said. "Your Chinese lore holds value, strategy, insight, but an ancient proverb warns, knowledge is of little use without Yamato Damashii. You can map every victory, but without the soul to march onto the field, it's dust." Tatayoshi's legs faltered at 20 minutes, an improvement born of grit. Kaio approved faintly. "Not strength, your body weakens, but you've glimpsed, pain isn't foe, hesitation is." As centuries unfolded, scholars like those at the University of Tokyo would dissect this. Yamato Damashii in the Heian era wasn't militarism's banner, but a bridge between imported intellect and innate resolve. It distinguished theorists from doers, swimmers from those who merely read of waves. On the third day, Tadayoshi arrived at dawn's edge, his resolve hardening like tempered steel. Kaio led him not to the clearing, but through dew-kissed paths to a roaring river, its waters churning white over jagged stones. The cold bit through his robes as Kaio pointed to a slick boulder midstream. "Mount it, hold your stance, until understanding dawns." The water was a beast, icy claws raking his skin as he waded in, slipping once before perching precariously. The stance amplified the torment, waves lapping his calves, numbing them to pins of fire. 5 minutes. Shivers racked him. 10. His feet vanished to sensation. 15. Panic clawed his throat, body bellowing to flee. "Master!" he yelled over the roar. "I can't endure!" Kaio, serene on the bank, shouted back, "Your forebears did." They stood vigil on blood-soaked fields, marched with festering wounds, breathed last in defiance, and you crumble to mere chill? "But why this?" Tadayoshi pleaded, voice breaking. "Because it's your duty," Kaio thundered, his words slicing the air. "You sought my guidance, declared yourself warrior-bound. That's no whim, it's a vow, demanding fulfillment." Tears mingled with spray, Tadayoshi's mind a whirlwind of surrender. Visions flashed, his father's scorn, courtiers' jeers, years lost to ink-stained idleness. He wasn't that hollow shell anymore. The cold persisted, the agony unyielding, but he surrendered not to defeat, to acceptance. "I remain because I must," he whispered, the river's fury fading to background hum. Time dissolved. Kaio's call finally pierced. "Enough!" Tadayoshi lurched to shore, limbs wooden, collapsing by a kindled fire Kaio had prepared. 45 minutes, Kaio revealed. You battled the pain at first, exhausting yourself. Then you embraced it as duty, and it eased, not in body, but in spirit. Warming by the flames, Tadayoshi felt a profound shift. Yamato Damashii. It's not ignoring pain, but refusing its command. Precisely, Kaio affirmed. Feelings howl, duty silences them. That evening, as the river murmured secrets to the stars, Kaio shared origins. Yamato Damashii arose for men like you, brilliant elites drowning in foreign wisdom, yet paralyzed. Chinese classics offered tools, but without the craftsman's hand, they rusted. Our ancestors named the missing fire, the spirit that wields knowledge, turning debate to deed, poetry to prowess. Tadayoshi listened, the stars wheeling above like silent witnesses. It's not rejection of learning, it's completion. Books map the path. Yamato Damashii walks it. Weeks deepened the forge. Tadayoshi's body adapted, holding stances longer, strikes gaining power. But the true trial loomed, the full moon festival. Lanterns would glow, music weave through air scented with plum wine, nobles reveling in abandon. An invitation arrived, stirring old temptations. One night, his mind coaxed. You've earned respite. The 8th dawn found the clearing empty. Kaio waited as sun climbed, disappointment heavy as unshed rain. Tadayoshi, meanwhile, awoke amid festival remnants, head throbbing, guilt a vice. He'd chosen fleeting joy over vow. The 9th day, he approached warily, expecting abandonment. But Kaio waited, sorrow etching his brow. You faltered. The festival, No excuses to me, Kaio interrupted wearily. To yourself. You bartered duty for delight, proving Yamato Damashii eludes you still. Tears burned Tadayoshi's eyes. One more chance. I comprehend now. Explain it then. It's acting against desire, duty above emotion. Surface, Kaio pressed. Deeper. Closing his eyes, memories flooded. Rivers bite, stances burn. It's identity, not what I do, but who I am. Betraying it shatters the self. Kaio nodded, a rare spark of approval. Yes, yesterday's choice demands today's toll. He commanded the stance for 2 merciless hours. Tadayoshi collapsed in sobs, body a ruin. This agony, Kaio said, you invited yesterday. Duty deferred compounds suffering. In that crucible, Tadayoshi grasped. Discipline wasn't a game of force, but of self. Training evolved. Kaio shifted to philosophy amid exertion. Discipline isn't conquering hardship. It's becoming one for whom hardship bows. Drawing in earth with his bakken, Kaio illustrated. Desire creates chasms. I want, but identity erases them. Warriors don't debate dawn drills. They embody them. The click was audible in Tadayoshi's soul. So Yamato Damashii forges the self anew. Through repetition, Kaio confirmed, his first true smile breaking. Decide once who you are, then live it relentlessly. Months blurred into a rhythm of dawn awakenings, sweat-soaked days. Tadayoshi ceased bargaining. Questions of if vanished. By week 6, his body anticipated the call, rising unbidden. Week 8. Training was instinct, not effort. Day 63 tested the forge. Fever gripped him, body a furnace of ache, mind a fog whispering rest. He rose anyway, stumbling to the clearing. Kaio spotted the illness instantly. Why come? Because it's me, Tadayoshi murmured. Kaio's grin was triumphant. Yamato Damashii unveiled, not strength, but unbreakability. He sent him home to recover. Not weakness, wisdom, warriors heal to conquer anew. The shift was tectonic. Rest wasn't evasion. It served purpose, rooted in identity. 90 days culminated in an open field where 20 hardened soldiers awaited. Kaio explained, "They seek a leader, strategist with spine. You've earned this duty." Tadayoshi's throat tightened. "Am I prepared?" "No one is," Kaio replied. "But you act, and readiness follows." Before the handover, Kaio imparted the core. Yamato Damashii rebirths you. The old scholar died in these trials. A warrior emerged. Your knowledge wasn't flawed. It lacked animation. This spirit breathes life into it. Tadayoshi bridged theory and reality, instructing not from podiums but example. Drills blending Sun Tzu's cunning with unyielding drills. 5 years hence, at 29, Tadayoshi commanded 300 loyal men. Victories in 3 pivotal skirmishes cemented his legend, not through superior arms, but unbreakable spirit. His troops echoed, "We are Tadayoshis, we endure." A young recruit approached one eve, eyes bright with book-learned zeal, but body hesitant. "General, I know the manuals, yet I freeze. Why?" Tadayoshi smiled, echoing his past. "Knowledge, Sun Soul. Join me at dawn. I'll teach what scrolls cannot." In a forest clearing, the cycle renewed, yet Yamato Damashii's tale twisted through time. By World War II, imperialists warped it into fanaticism, blind loyalty, suicidal charges for emperor and empire. This perversion scarred the term, veiling its essence, personal triumph over inner weakness, not national hubris. Today, that pure fire endures universally. Forget motivation's fickle spark. Embrace duty's forge. Declare your identity. I am the doer. Make pain ally, consistency creed. Knowledge illuminates, Yamato Damashii propels. The final secret Kaio whispered on day 90. Yamato Damashii bends wisely. Rest not from fear, but strategy. Blind rigor is chains, tempered, its wings. Tadayoshi lived to 67, a beacon of embodied wisdom. His legacy? Not battles won, but spirits ignited. You, too, hold this power. Slay the procrastinator within. Be the executor. For in duty's embrace, dreams awaken to life.